Live, live,
Yeah, yeah.
you are live.
Oh, I'm
Oh, I'm
alive. All
live. All
right.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What's
What's
good,
good,
y'all?
y'all?
This
This
is
is
Rolladeks
Rolladeks
for
for
episode
episode
two
two
of
of
Legacy
Legacy
College of
College of
Musical
Musical
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Shout
Shout
outs to
outs to
Legacy
Legacy
Productions and
Productions and
C2C Indie
C2C
Radio.
Indie Radio.
This wouldn't be
Would be
possible
possible
without
without
either.
either.
So,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
the
the
first
first
episode,
episode,
if nobody was
nobody was
privy to
privy
it,
to it.
thankfully it's
Thankfully,
on
it's on
YouTube
YouTube
and
and
on
on
C2C
C2C
Indie
Indie
Radio.
Radio.
I mean, got to put the plug in there, but yeah. So the
Yeah. So
first
the
one's
first
kind of
one's kind of
introductory. It
introductory.
was
It was
mainly
mainly
about
about uh,
the Legacy College Musical Knowledge. Basically, I broke
basically I
down the
broke down
five
five
subjects
subjects
that
that
well, the five
the five
topics
topics
within
within
this
this
course
course
that
that
I'm going to be going
I'm
through.
going
I
to be going
also
through. Also
answered a
answered a
couple of
couple of
questions that
questions
were
that were
put in the
put in
live
the live
chat.
chat.
So
So
we're going
we're
to
going to
start
start
today with
today
the
with
very
the very
first
first
one.
one.
And this is
And this
one
is
I
one I
call
call
Intro to
Intro to
Music
Music
History.
History.
And I
And I
chose this
chose
to be
this to be
first, just
first,
like I
just
said,
like I said,
the first
the first
episode.
episode.
The
The
first
first
thing that
thing
everybody
that
should know
everybody should
whenever
know
they get
whenever they get
interested, really
interested, really
anything, is
anything,
just the
is just the
history of
history of
stuff. Like
stuff. Like
you can't
you
like
can't
go
like
into
go
like
into like
archaeology without
archaeology
knowing
without
about
knowing about
dinosaurs and
dinosaurs and
whatnot. You know what I
whatnot.
mean?
You
Or
know what I
else
mean?
you're
Or else
just
you're
gonna
just
be
gonna
like
be like
just
just
scraping away
scraping
at
away
rocks
at
for no
rocks for no
reason. You
reason.
know what
You
I
know what
mean?
I
It's
mean? It's
pointless.
pointless.
Or
You know,
not knowing
not knowing
how
how
people cook
people cook
different foods
different
if you're
foods
trying
if
to
you're
be a
trying to be
chef.
a chef.
So
So
and the thing
the
is
thing
too,
is
this
too,
is
this is
probably going to
probably
be
going to
more
be
hip
more
hop
hip hop
centric than
centric than
anything. I could
anything. I could
already
already
sense it,
sense it.
just because
Just
I
because
know a
I
lot
know
of
a lot
people
of
want
people want
be
be
DJs and
DJs and
producers,
producers,
engineers,
engineers,
rappers,
rappers,
and
and
whatnot.
whatnot.
And just
And
know the
just
ins
know
and
the ins
outs
and
and the
outs and the
workings of
workings
that.
of that.
So
So
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not
go
gonna
into
go into
talking about
talking
like
about like
Beethoven and
Beethoven and
Mozart or nothing
Mozart or
like
nothing like
that.
that.
Not that
Not that
music
music
history.
history.
Nah, I'm gonna
Nah, I'm
talk
gonna talk
about
about
like
like
the hip
the
hop
hip hop
joints
joints
and all
and all
that.
that.
Maybe even
Maybe even
sprinkle a little
sprinkle a little
rock in
rock
there.
in
So
there.
I
So
mean,
I
with
mean, with
rock,
rock,
I'm just
I'm
gonna
just
put it
gonna put
out
it
there. We'll
out there. I'll
start by
start by
Chuck
Chuck
Berry.
Berry.
I
I
mean, you know
mean,
what
you
I
know what I
mean,
mean,
and
and
also
also
too,
too,
like
like
we
we
gotta give it
gotta
up
give
to
it
the
up to the
jazz
jazz
artists as
artists
well,
as
because
well, because
they
they
basically taught
basically taught
people how to
people how to
utilize the
utilize the
instruments, like
instruments, like
the Louis
Louis
Armstrongs
Armstrongs
and
and
like the Art
like the Art
Blakey's and the
Blakey's and
Thelonious
the
Monks,
Thelonious
John
Monks, John
Coltrane. We
Coltrane.
can go
We
on
can
and
go
on
on
for
and on
that.
for
That would be
that.
a
That
whole
would be
nother
a whole
course
nother
right there
course right
talking
there
about
talking
jazz.
about jazz.
But
But
so yeah,
so yeah,
let's get right
let's get
into
right
it.
into
So
it. So
if we're
if
talking
we're
about
talking
hip
about
hop,
hip
I
hop,
mean,
I mean,
you know,
you know,
thing
the
is
thing
with hip
is with
hop,
hip hop,
it's a
it's a
thing where
thing
it's
where it's
like
like,
there's a
there's
lot
a
of
lot of
like
like
urban
urban
myths
myths
and
and
different
different
stories
stories
within to
within to
where
where
you
you
know
know
there's
there's
like
like
somebody
somebody
might even
might
falsify the
falsify the
information,
information,
whether or
whether or
not
not
whether it
whether
by been by like
by
word of
like word of
mouth or
mouth or
something like
something like
that,
that,
something that
something
like
that
maybe
like
their
maybe their
uncle or their
uncle or their
pops or
pops or
grandfather
grandfather
told them or
told them or
something like
something like
that.
that,
Um,
Um,
I would
I would
say
say
like
like the first
one of the
one of the
first
first
times that
times that
somebody
somebody
probably like
probably like
seen
seen
somebody like
somebody like
rap or
rap or
whatever
whatever
um
um
on
on
TV
TV
or
or
anything like
anything
that,
like that,
something
something
public.
public.
Probably like
Probably
them.
like the
This group
this
called
group
the
called the
Jubileers.
Jubileers.
They're from like
They're
the
from like the
1930s and all
1930s and
that.
all that.
Peep it
Peep
on
it on
YouTube.
YouTube.
My barber
My
put me
barber put
on
me
to
on
that
to
like
that like
several years
several
ago
years
and all
ago and
that.
all that.
Never even
Never
knew it.
even knew it.
And so
And
these
so
guys
these guys
literally were
literally
like
were
kind of
like
like
kind of like
rapping and all
rapping
that.
and
I
all
mean,
that.
we
I
could
mean,
even
we
take
could
it
even take
back
it
to where
back
it
to
was
where it
like,
was like,
medieval
medieval
times
times
where like
where
cats
like
would
cats would
actually,
actually,
they'll
they'll
battle with
battle with
poetry. So I
poetry.
mean,
So I mean,
battle
battle
rapping also
rapping
has,
also
I guess,
has, I
that
guess,
roots
that
as
roots as
well.
well.
I mean,
I mean,
it's a
it's a
very loose
very loose
association, but I
association,
mean,
but
I
I mean,
figure
I
it was
figure it
fitting
was
to bring
fitting to
up in
bring up
this.
in this.
But yeah,
But
so
yeah, so
there's
there's
besides the
besides the
story of
story of
how like
how like
most people
most
are
people
hip
are
to
hip to
hip hop
hip hop
starting in the
starting in
South
the South
Bronx, New York
Bronx, New
City.
York City.
And I'm only
And I'm only
saying
saying
New York
New
City
York
after
City
South
after
Bronx
South Bronx
because I
because
don't
I
know
don't
where
know
people
where
are
people are
listening.
listening.
I don't know if people knew that Bronx was in New New York City. It's just a different part of it. I just had to put that out there. But on top of that, too, there's also been people saying that hip hop also started in the '60s in Philadelphia. So I'm just gonna talk about. I'm not gonna use any discrepancies. I'm just literally just gonna talk about what everybody knows, just so it's not confusing. That'll just be a pain right in the keister. You know what I'm saying? Keeping a PG out here with the language. So yeah. So basically, from my recollection, I didn't get around to a PowerPoint this week. Was crazy. Um, from my recollection, basically the Godfather, the known Godfather of hip hop, Cool Herc. He was originally from Kingston, Jamaica, and he pretty much came up to the South Bronx in the '70s from Jamaica. He had a whole bunch of records of Jamaican music. You know what I'm saying? Um, there's a lot of dubs, a lot of dubs from Jamaica, a lot of different records native to the Jamaican land that he brought up. Basically, kind of spread the wealth like Midas with the gold, you know. So yeah, like they also had a blackout in New York City back in 1977, where a whole bunch of people just, like, because not everybody had money and all that. So a lot of people they end up going looting these stores when they had the blackout. And then they was like basically raiding that joint, getting a whole bunch of like turntables and mixes and whatnot with the faders and whatnot. They started doing that, and so he probably was a part of that. I ain't gonna try to snitch. I don't know what the hell happened. That was 1970 something. I wasn't born yet. My mom was a kid, so so yeah, like, but the thing is though, in 1979 during that summer. They had block parties. It's kind of hard to think now that they had black parties because COVID-19. And so back in 1979, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the South Bronx in the PJs or the projects, not pajamas. Basically, Cool Herc was DJing that block party. He had two turntables. He had a mixer with the little crossfader. Over time they end up like kind of developing the mixer to make it so that it will cater to how you could DJ in this format. Because usually it would be like jukeboxes or whatever, or it'd just be like one turntable. Let it run through, flip over to side B. You know what I mean? People that know about the records and all that know that the B sides always had heat. Unless you got like a Christmas record or something, then you might get something that's trash. But you know what I mean. The 45s also had them little secret herbs and spices on that other side too. You know what I'm saying? Like, love my 45s. You feel me? But anyways, so he came up with this thing, and this is basically the start of the hip hop joint. It's from the DJ. You know what I mean? And I think it's fitting that the DJ Legacy Productions brings us up. He had the two turntables, and he noticed that, like, the people really got live to a joint when it was just a drum break, or like what we call the drum break, which is basically just an isolated section of drums that might play for about a couple or 4 or even 8 bars long. You know what I mean? Some popular ones is in the songs "Impeach the President" by the Honey Drippers. It's a New Day by the Skull Snaps. The iconic Funky Drummer by James Brown. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Synthetic Substitution. The Detroit Emeralds break. Like, I can go on for breaks, you know what I mean? I'm not going to talk about all of them because I want to keep them to myself. I'm selfish. But, yeah, so basically what he did, you can't really, like, loop it unless you're, like, needle dropping. That takes a long time. Even if you're like one of the most experienced DJs, it's still really challenging to do that. So, not to get off on the tangent, but he had the two turntables. He had the little fader joint, the little mixer, and with that drum break, he found the drum break on each record. He had doubles of them, and he did what he called the merry-go-round. So basically, to keep the party alive and keep the party rocking, you have one turntable playing that break extended. And then he'll end up, after that was playing, he had that part already ready on the other one. Boom, move it to that one. And then went back to this one on the other one. Boom. When that ended, boom. He did that. That was the birth of hip-hop right there. You know what I'm saying? That was conception and delivery all simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, it kind of expanded. The invention of the scratch. You know what I'm saying? finding more records. You know what I mean, and it ended up becoming a popular thing. And then the rapper or the MC, if we're getting really technical, the MC, master of ceremony, was the person that he was kind of like the person on the mic, master of ceremony. He was like the host of the whole thing. He would kind of help accentuate getting the crowd going and all that. Because really, yeah, like, hip hop was about, the party and all that. That was about the party. I mean, nowadays it looks like complete doo-doo. I mean, I ain't laying no claims, you know what I'm saying? I'm just biased. But it did start with the party, you know what I mean? It also became a movement of positivity too, because back in the 70s, there were parts of New York City that was like dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ever watched The Warriors, you would know. What I mean? I love that movie though. But yeah, on top of that, then you had the break dancers, the B-boys. You know what I mean? You can't forget about the B-boys and the break dancers, you know what I mean? Like Crazy Legs was a pioneer of that. Then you can bring it back to African Bambaataa. He was a gang leader and all that. Once hip hop started, he started the Zulu Nation. Basically, he ended up converting that gang into being something peaceful, positive. I mean, yeah, I know there's controversy over the past several years and all that, but I'm talking about back then. You know what I mean? Like, so keep that controversy out of here. This is education right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear nobody chirping, be like, oh yeah, but he like did this and did that and the third. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about the history of this joint. You know what I'm saying? That's what's most important more than anything. You know what I mean? Because even from negativity, you can still learn. So, but anyways, yeah. So that was kind of the start of it. Then we go into the '80s, and yes, I will bring up "Rap Is the Light" by Sugar Hill Gang. That was like the first commercial joint. I will bring that up before anybody kicks my ass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1979. That was the year of that. But then you kept on going through. You had that movie Wild Style. You know what I mean? 1981. You had that iconic scene. To me, that's like probably like one of the best hip hop films ever made because it shows such a raw, authentic depiction of hip hop in its purest form. You got the iconic scene. To me, it's a very iconic where it's Fab Five Freddy. He is in the kitchen of Grandmaster Flash, and he's literally just in his kitchen playing the filthiest breaks. Like, I mean, he's playing like Bob James, "Take Me to the Mardi Gras" on there. You know what I'm saying? He just like going into the text and all that. And then while that's playing, I mean, he getting busy with it. Like, I mean, it was just pure and it was raw. You know what I mean? It was in its infancy, and that was just such a raw depiction. And then with that overlaying and all that, it cuts to the scenes of cats tagging in the doing graffiti at the old Bronx amphitheater. You know what I'm saying? Like, because hip hop is a whole culture. It's got the art too. It's got the dance. You know what I mean? It's got the rapping. It's got the production. It's got the DJ. You know what I mean? The fashion, everything. There's rocking shell toes and like windbreaker pants and whatnot. They took out the tiles, put that in the park, and they got busy. You know what I mean? Doing air flares, doing back spins, doing head spins. You know what I mean? Like everything, man. Like. You know what I mean? Like, the two step and all that. So yeah, like, it was a beautiful thing. And then it kind of just evolved to where, they're, like the whole Busy Bee Kumo D thing, that was the depiction of, when people start to realize you could use lyrics and battle with lyrics, just like they did in medieval times, like I mentioned earlier. Because before it was like, okay, who can get the party more alive? And Busy Bee was a master of that. And then Kumo D, he had rhymes, you know what I mean? And then, he kind of took over the whole crowd with that. And then, that was another pivotal moment in hip hop history right there. And then you had guys like, you had cats like, what was it, even, like Run DMC with Aerosmith, doing the Walk This Way joint, and them joining forces. Then you had like Rick Rubin, a part of that. Def Jam Records, like basically. You even had like he had a whole bunch of stuff. You know, the Juice Crew, because then you had Marley Marl. Marley Marl, he was he was known as like the first super producer, really. And he was like chopping stuff up on the drum machine. They had the SP back then. I believe it was the SP-12. And for all you drum machine nerds out there, yeah, they ain't got that much sample time on this, so you had to get creative with it. I ain't never used it personally, but I did my homework on it. Um, yeah, like so, he was doing joints like the Symphony, which had like Master Ace on there. It was the first time Master Ace got in a joint. Check his music out. He's still making music to this day. Then you had like the Juice Crew with like Tragedy Gaddafi and all that. Who was he went by a different name at that time. In the '90s, he was Intelligent Hoodlum. Return to the Life. That's still one of my favorite songs. But besides the fact, you had so many people come out. The Bomb Squad with Public Enemy and all that. There's like 9 cats just working on beats together, and they made some of the illest joint. Like I mean, like Night of the Living Bass has that's one of my favorite Public Enemy joints. Rebel Without a Pause and all that. You know, it was fire. Like LL Cool J coming out. You know what I mean? You had like Stetsasonic with Prince Paul and whatnot. One of my personal favorites, Boogie Down Productions. Boogie Down Productions. I mean, come on now, like that was just some impeccable. Like I mean, whew. And then they had like the bridge with MC Shan, also part of the Juice Crew. And then they had their own little thing, Roxanne Shante, because she innovated the whole diss record joints. You know what I mean? She started dissing everybody, coming at people's necks. You know what I mean? I got represent for my Scorpios. You know what I'm saying? Roxanne Shantae's birthday is actually the day after mine, so I gotta show love. Also, I got family in Queens, so like much love. But I also got love for the Bronx, and KRS-One wiped the floor with them. Word up, like the bridge is over. Come on now, man. Woo! That piano loop. Ooh, oh my God, I can't get too hype. I feel like this is, I don't know, man. I get excited over this, man. Like I start doing backflips in my internally. I do backflips. If I did one right now, I'd probably bust my kneecaps on the landing. Yeah, and I already got a bad knee. I stick to kickflips on the skateboard. I'm good on that. I can still do that. You know what I mean? Give little youngers a run for their money, man. We,
I asked about the ski skateboard.
wait, what about the skateboarding?
He said asked about the ski skateboard.
Oh yeah. I've been skateboarding for a very long time. Oh yeah. That's my man's right there. Yeah. Yeah, I've known him for ages. Oh man, that's crazy on here. Yeah. That's my boy right there. Him and I go way back. That's my dog right there. Hell yeah, man. I got mad love for that man right there. I used to give him a few of my old decks too. You know what I mean? Keep him skating. You know what I mean? Like, and man, he's gotten too good actually. He's gotten too good. It's dangerous. I seen that dude like do his handrail Albany like 4 try. I remember that too. He probably remember it too. We talked about it. Like, man, I think he was the only person that actually got something on that rail that day too. Like, yeah, that's my man right there. You know what I mean? A good dude, good father to his son. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's my man right there. That whole squadron. Yeah, Young Lords. Those are they're a skateboard collective out of my hometown in Utica, New York. I'll definitely talk about the connection with skateboarding and hip hop. And to be honest, because of skateboarding, that's how I got into underground hip hop. That's definitely a big part. And not just from the video games either, because they always had the fire soundtracks. Everybody knows about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. You know what I mean? They had everything. Like, I mean, they threw like the whole kitchen sink of underground joints on there, but also skateboarding videos as well. And then even some skateboarders have, had their hands in hip hop themselves. I'm gonna sound like a real nerd, but guys like Pat Washington, Stevie Williams, Chris Gentry, who else? You could even add Jeremy Rogers. Why not? I'm still a fan of him. I don't care what people say. I think it's just because of hip hop is, even though hip hop is really, it's kind of anti-establishment in a way, It's kind of like, I mean, because skateboarding kind of comes from those roots too, where motivated by the punk rock movement, and they're both relatively the same age as well. Skateboarding emulated surfing just on land, and then it advanced after the Ollie by Alan Gelfand, which was in 1979, same year as Sugar Hill Gang, right? Ain't that something? And then, the 80s really like shaped the mold. There's pool skating. Tony Alva did the first front side there, and I think in 1981. He's still skating too. He's in his 60s, still skating. Like nothing ever happened. It's a blessing. It's very inspiring too. Then, the invention of the kickflip. Every flip trick was done by Rodney Mullen pretty much. Then Mark Gonzalez, or the Gons, we call him the Gons in the skateboarding community. He did the first handrail. He was the first one to skate the opposite stance, which we call switch stance. Also with the fashion too, like Gons was on point with the fashion back in the day. That dude was skating in Jordan 1s and all that, making it look fly. So yeah, it was really good. Then you had the Powell skateboards, Search of the Animal Chin and whatnot. You had Tony Hawk, Mike McGill in there. So it's not just music that I nerd out about. I'm a nerd with skateboarding too. Don't test me, but we're gonna move forward with the music thing too. So so with the music thing, then let's get into the 90s. The golden era basically is considered from 86 to about 94. You're gonna even extend it to 95. But yeah, so that era right there was a lot of innovation going on, because you had people like Boogie Down Productions, you had NWA, Public Enemy, and they could bring about the Native Tongues crew, my personal favorite, with De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, DJ Red Alert was around that time, and I guess he was the uncle of one of the members of Jungle Brothers. I forgot which member of Jungle Brothers it was. But then they pretty much formed that. De La Soul, they ended up being in cahoots with Prince Paul, because he was a part of Stetsasonic, and Prince Paul happened to be from the same town / city or whatever. I don't know Long Island like that. As De La Soul, they're all from Amityville, Long Island. And that was a good connection right there. And then, Pete Rock and CL Smooth, coming from Mount Vernon. Heavy D as well, Heavy D and the boys, it was a very pivotal time for sure. So, very pivotal time at that time, and then, people like, Main Source, A Large Professor came out. Ultramagnetic MCs with Cool Keith. UMCs. I can go on and on for days about this, man. I really can. Wu-Tang came out during that time, who else? Nas came out at that time, Third Base with MC Search, Das Effects, you had cats like Howie T producing and all that, Teddy Riley was doing the whole rump shaker thing with Wrecking Effect. The Foo Schnickens, what I mean? Funk Dubious, KMD with MF Doom and Sub Rock, rest in peace to both, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of history with that, man. For me, I studied the hell out of it. Leaders of the New School, Leaders of the New School, Busta Rhymes clique with, Minor Cut Milo, Charlie Brown, and Dinko. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of innovation with production, a lot of innovation with rapping. The Hieroglyphics who came about because, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, he was cousins with Ice Cube. And then, he ended up doing I Wish My Brother George Was Here. And did that. He moved from commercialized stuff and all that, went on his own, dropped No Need for Alarm. And then, Social Mischief came out with 93 Till Infinity. Casual came out with Fear Itself. You know what I'm saying? Then, that kind of blossomed. Then you had like younger kids, rapping and all that. So you had Illegal with that rapper Jamal. He was just a kid. You had Shaheem, who was part of the Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? Like the youngsters, you had a whole bunch of cats like just coming out and really, trying to push the envelope. Lords of the Underground. Yeah, it was a really good time. You know what I mean? Like a lot of innovation was going on with hip hop. Um, and so like like that's where a lot of that stems from. And I also got to mention too. I know there's probably some young cats on here. They want to know, oh well, who started trap then? You know what I'm saying? Look, that a lot the people that influenced that. I said this in the first interview. I was not the interview, first episode. I was gonna bring this up, man. You had like cats that really pushed it, like DJ Screw. He was out of Texas. And he would put out mixtapes and all that. The Chopped and Screwed. If you go on YouTube, you looked up the Chopped and Screwed joint. He was the originator. Well, I would say one of the originators, just so I can be politically correct. But he was a pioneer, definitely a pioneer, if not the creator. Whatever he is. But yeah, he had a major part in that though. And then the sound that came from people like Tommy Wright the Third. Princess Loco, rest in peace to her. You know what I mean? She was a savage. You know what I mean? Props dues to her. My personal favorite, Gangsta Pat. That dude was nasty. That was, oh my God. Whoo-wee, oh my God. I'm getting hyped just thinking about that joint, Killer or I Want to Smoke. You know what I'm saying? Those are my joints right there. Then you had 3 6 Mafia as well. You had them come out. And they also had that same sound as well. And then, that further went into, like a lot of other artists that definitely didn't get no shine or nothing like that. You know what I mean? They even had that sound, they even had a little bit of that sound on the West Coast too. Like, producers like Rhythm D. You know what I mean? Rhythm D was definitely very popular with that. Like he did Real Mother F&Gs by Eazy-E. I guess he didn't use a sample either, which is pretty crazy. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's like then Bone Thugs, they adopted that as well too. That was before it became as redundant as it is now. I'm sorry if I disrespected anybody, but yo, we gotta do better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm not saying like trap is trash. I'm just saying it needs to be better. I'm just stating facts, you know what I mean? Like I want to be able to know what the hell the dude's saying, even if he is rapping fast. You know what I mean? I don't need no drugged out slurred cat on the microphone. And then I'm wondering, yo, how the hell he get a record deal? Like, why is he popular? Like, what is it? Because like, you know what I mean? I want to hear about like people like dry snitching on their boys, or like trying to talk about like some like like satanic rituals going on and whatnot. You know what I mean? That's kind of crazy, like, and a lot of these cats also too, like, even with they bread, even with getting mad bread, they still like they bathe in dirty bath water. You know what I'm saying? Like these are the dudes that buy as much drip as possible, but still ain't put no food in their cabinet or nothing like that. They still ain't got no good pillows in their crib or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Fools don't know about paying a water bill and whatnot. They just buy the whole crib and don't realize they still got like continuation of payments and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, what about heat and electric? Oh yeah, I bought my mom's a crib. Well, she's probably gonna have to pay astronomical bills now because you got her in a really good spot. Like, word up, she's in like 5 tax brackets above where she was at. You know what I mean? I should have been like a musical financial advisor. I'm not even lying, yo. They don't even know about stocks until they like 35, and after mad people for like mad long told them, oh, yo, man, yo, you spending like crazy, bro. But then, the other boys will be like, nah, yo, man, you hooking people up. That's what's up. Then after that, you know what I'm saying? Your album don't sell and whatnot, and you got to pay like about like 600,000 G's to the label because you thought cash advance was all yours, but it was really a loan and a down payment. And then you basically being like, yo, man, like, yo, can you do me a solid, bro? And then you back out on the streets doing the same ish that you was doing before. You know what I'm saying? Like, pushing to a key again or whatever, doing that block work, ducking and dodging bullets like the Wild Wild West and all that. And then, basically going back on Instagram saying that it's still all good just because, it's not all good. Like, I don't want to be dodging bullets and all that. What is this, the Matrix? Like, come on now, man. Let's get real. And yeah, in the 90s they did talk about a lot of that stuff, but they're still educational about it. And they're still educational about it back in the day. At least you can understand what the hell they was saying. The production was still fire. They was still sampling from good stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of watered down music. It's not like the 90s was completely fire. It wasn't. You know what I mean? You still had some duds here and there, like you still had some duds there. Like there's still some cats that, fizzled out. But there was more of a balance back then. You know what I mean? You had your BS and then you had your dopeness, you know what I mean? You had your hard rock dudes, you know what I mean? You had your dashiki wearing, dreadlock hat. Well, now back in the day, rappers had dreadlocks. They was on some peace type deal, you know what I mean? Not like they wasn't like, on some Chief Keef back in like, I don't know how long ago, you know what I mean, type deal, you know what I mean? Like, when you saw a dreadhead down the street, either he sold weed or he preached, or he preached consciousness and all that. Nowadays, the dude preach about what type of guns he got he could sell you with the scraped off digits. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if I snitched on somebody, but that's the truth, man. You know what I mean? I ain't saying no names. I just said what it is. It ain't always right, but, that's just from my perspective. I'm only one person. Yeah, and then like it was like that, you know what I mean. Then Diddy came through with the R&B joints, you know what I mean. There's a point in time where your record would not sell unless you had an R&B singer on the chorus of your joint. Like, I mean, that was like a good chunk of like the mid to late 90s. Like, I mean, where they started having Mariah Carey on there, you know what I'm saying, and Miss Jones or like Mary J. Blige and all that type of stuff, like, yeah. And then, also too, like another thing, I forgot to mention Biz Markie. And I do want to get into him because he was basically one of the first hip hop artists to basically be made an example of when it came to copyrights and sampling. He definitely got yeah, I feel bad for him, man. Rest in peace to Biz Markie, by the way. But yeah, like he got made an example of pretty much. And then after that, his next project was called All Samples Cleared. Very, very comedically, you know what I'm saying? Then after that it would be like De La Soul got hit for 3 Feet High and Rising. It was a sample for Transmission to Mars, I think it was called. It was like an interlude. And they sampled a joint by the Turtles. And, a lot of like old school rock guys don't even like hip hop to begin with because they're like, oh, you're not using real instruments and all that. Oh yeah, they're just stealing music. I like to say for y'all, try sampling something. You can't just chop up like one part and just loop it over and over again and then call it a day. Nah, it don't work like that. And plus, too, some of us hip hop artists do know how to use instruments. Like, look at J. Rawls. That dude was like he did joints for like Black Star and all that, right? He's a bassist, a fire bassist too. You know what I mean? Like, you had Jay Dilla, my favorite. He was definitely one of my biggest inspirations. You know what I mean? He had the Moog machine. It was like a synthesizer. It had the Moog on it, you know what I mean? And killing it with that. He had a whole drum room in his basement in his home studio, you know what I mean? He was like doing things to alter the sound of the snare. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Madlib, his father was a jazz artist. And so, he started Yesterday's New Quintet where he learned every single instrument on his own and created a whole bunch of projects. And you know what I'm saying? Like, so like people can't miss the mark with that. But yeah, like that's, I did a pretty brief overview of this, but I just wanted to catch people up to speed. You know what I'm saying? Like just to say like, why the 90s was great. It's because we had great artists. Like, I mean, people like Nas, right? He got popular back in the 90s. They can't fully hate on the 90s. Busta Rhymes came out in the 90s. I mean, that dude just is timeless, you know what I'm saying? And I also should have brought up Eric B. and Rakim from the 80s. I saw Rakim, man, live. Like, I should be ashamed of my damn self. Oh, yeah, Tupac and Biggie. Damn right, yep. Tupac and Biggie for sure, you know what I'm saying? And I like both of them equally. I ain't picking no sides because they both had something great to offer to the game. You know what I mean? Like Tupac, he brought that conviction in his delivery. He brought that soul in it too. You know what I mean? He was definitely visionary. You know what I mean? I feel like he was very misunderstood, and he was also very sensitive. Probably maybe at times he might have been a little too sensitive for some people's liking. You know what I mean? But at the same time, though, he was very passionate about what he was talking about and his ideals. You know what I mean? He definitely, like he knew there was that change needed to happen in the world. You know what I mean? And I feel like he was also just getting started. With Biggie, how I feel like he influenced it, it's like, man, that dude could rap on any damn beat he wanted to. How he flowed, like, what a Shock G say on that one hip hop documentary. Basically saying that like Tupac had the persona and the aura of like a Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? Like the I have a dream, you know what I mean? Type deal. So he had that strong will conviction. And it's like when he spoke, he commanded you to listen to what the hell he said. Even if it was on some whatever, you know what I mean? But the thing is though, like he was also able to be that flexible and versatile with it. And then Biggie, he was like a jazz artist, especially how he flowed. That was kind of like how Miles Davis approached his music. You know what I mean? Like where, he was just free associative. Like, he ain't, he just rocked with how he was with it. You know what I mean? Very creative, very creative. Like on the joint Unbelievable off of Ready to Die, right? I believe it was track 9. Primo produced the beat, aka DJ Premier from Gangstar. He was like, live from Bedford, Stafford, sent the livest one, representing BK to the fullest. Like, how he got in there and just started fitting in the pocket. He found pockets of the pants you didn't even know. He was finding stash pockets. You know what I mean? And then, finding all finding hidden treasures. It was nice to hear that. And, yeah, so that's how it was with that, and yeah, there's, and even like people that, weren't exactly like rappers or whatever, they made a big difference, you know what I mean? Like even cats like the Beatnuts who could do both. You had Diamond D who could do rapping, DJing, and producing. Lord Finesse, he kind of did that gradually. Actually, his path was similar to my path. He started as a rapper, Lord Finesse. Then he started then he started producing. A lot of his first beats was, one of them was actually he produced Suicidal Thoughts by Biggie actually. And then he started DJing after. That's literally my path too. I started as a rapper or MC, and then I started making beats out of necessity because I was just too stubborn. I wanted to make my own joints. And then I really started DJing to put scratches on my own joints. I didn't really want to outsource to a lot of things. And then, once word got around that I could DJ and all that, people started like asking me, DJ certain things. I was like, well, damn, all right, cool. I guess I can make some money with this. Let me like get nice with that. You know what I mean? Kind of learn. And, I did through trial and error too, I wasn't perfect with it, but, then I DJ birthday parties, hip hop shows, definitely all the ones for legacy, you know what I'm saying? Like, always gotta, I DJ'd a wedding before, you know what I mean? DJ'd at, a couple other spots, different shows, I DJ'd a sold out show before. So, I've been paid for some of the stuff. I'm actually fortunate enough to say I've actually been paid to do music. Most of it has come from DJing, but, I still have, I've still definitely, it's a very difficult thing to do. Very difficult thing to do. And about that, back in the day, uh, labels would actually treat the artist a little better. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as restrictive. Like, like they weren't, like yeah, a lot of shady things happen, behind the scenes, but you know, yeah, like it was a little better. Like definitely like 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 people would be getting beats for like what, like $30,000, and that was cheap. You know what I mean? Like producers definitely making some bread back there. You know what I mean? The royalties and whatnot. I mean, as long as they were smart about it. You know what I mean? A lot of fools got hit with the masters and all that. And the publishing and contractual limbo and whatnot. A lot of that like came about. But yeah, like then the 2000s came in. You had like 50 Cent. You had like the whole G Unit. Uh, Luda. You had Luda in there. You know what I mean? Ludacris. You had like, you had a lot of cats. I mean, I feel like at that time, like going from the late 90s to early 2000s, underground hip hop really just like flourished. You know what I mean? 'Cause then you had cats like, like I'm going to drop a lot of people. Binary Star, People Under the Stairs. You had, who else? I got to jog through my brain real quick. I might just drop some really rare ones, like, from the 90s all the way to 2000s. Had a lot of underground cats where you had like the Knots out of LA, you had Lexicon, you had People Under the Stairs, you had Murs, you had One Below and Binary Star, you had Nick Wiz producing a whole bunch of stuff for like Cellar Dwellers, Dark Mind, who else? He even produced for Rakim. Then you had Shabam Sadiq, who I met in person before. He was mad cool. You had the Boot Camp Clique, with like Buckshot, DJ Evil D, and Mr. Walt, the Beat Miners. You had like Sean Price, rest in peace, him and Rock, which were Helter Skelter. You had Smith and Wesson, Tech and Steel. You had the OGC with Starang Wonder, Louisville Slugger, and all that. Starang, that was that man right there. You know what I'm saying? Whoo! Oh man. And then yeah, like there's a lot of ill cats back then. I mean, like, then we take it to like, Lewis Logic. You know what I mean? Like I'm going too deep in the text, so I mean, stop me if you need to. Stop me if you need to, because I'm yeah. There's a lot of underground cats. I mean, R.A. the Rugged Man, he was blackballed back in the '90s. Shit. Who else? Is there? Damn, man. There's a lot of good underground acts. Like, I mean, Jay Dilla was kind of like part of the underground too. Like, Slum Village. With like the Fantastic albums. Fire. Like shit. Who else? Like, even like damn, I don't know. Like, there's just a lot of underground stuff. Like, even like Digging in the Crates. Because you had like Lord Finesse, you had Big L, Fat Joe, OC, you know what I mean? Pharaoh Monch out of Organized Confusion, Crush, Kill, Destroy, Stress, like pain, stress, my brain, like that's that joint too. Like that beats fire. You know, um, I think back in the day, this is my personal opinion. I feel like back in the day, with the underground scene compared to today, I feel like back then it wasn't much. It wasn't that much to stay relevant in the underground. You know what I mean? Like, and for it to possibly pop. Nowadays, it's like you literally have to you have to compromise. I feel like nowadays in order, with your underground sound, like you really have to compromise. And plus, too, nowadays there's more styles in the underground, so it's like really hard to depict who is underground or not, because there's people that probably don't have a single out on the radio like Cardi B or Drake status or whatever, but they're getting as much views as them. You know what I mean? Back in the day with underground artists and all that, it wasn't like that. And plus, too, it was a lot more work to get your music out there, you know? Like, a lot more work. You had to, like, literally grind to get, you know, radio play or whatever. You had to cough up a lot of dollars. You didn't have your label backing. But then the independent labels would help out with that. You know, like Stone's Throw had started with Peanut Butter Wolf and Charisma. You know, that started out. Then it was, you know, Hydro Records and all that. Loud Records, they came out of the mist too. You know, yeah, there's a lot of them. You know, like the Hieroglyphics had their own record label and all that. Even Jay-Z starting, you know, Rockefeller. You know what I mean? And that right there is very inspirational by like how, you know, he started that and now look at him. Like, I mean, that dude is a straight up mogul. Like, that's very inspiring. People can say what they want about Jay-Z. I mean, come on now. Let's face facts here, you know? Like, dudes had mad #1 albums, mad singles and all that, and he could actually rap. Like, I mean, Eminem did the same thing too. You know what I mean? You gotta give Eminem his props too. Like, you know, people be like, "Oh, he's not hip hop, he's white." It's like, man, I must not be fully hip hop either because I'm part white. So you know what I mean? Like who won it? Drake ain't hip hop that he's half white. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to break down all those barriers right off the jump. Because I mean, back when hip hop started. Let's go back to the history. You had Beastie Boys. Ain't nobody said nothing to them. You know what I mean? Aerosmith did that joint with Run DMC. Ain't nobody did that joint. They ate it right up. What about Steinsky? He was a DJ. You know what I mean? You know, it was, you know, there's a lot of them. You know what I mean? Milkbone back in the day, he was one of the rappers. You know what I mean? Vanilla Ice. You know what I mean? We can even bring him in there. Like, you know, like I feel like personally, hip hop is for anybody who can relate. You know what I mean? Anybody who can relate. Like, hip hop shouldn't have no boundaries. It didn't, like, you know, it wasn't just started by black people. It was started by Latinos as well too. So you gotta give props to the Latino community as well, you know, and you know, it's not like we had a choice when we was born to be, you know, a certain background or whatnot. You know what I mean? We came out like this. Like, we had no choice. We was brought in this world. So, you know, like that's the thing. Like, you know, hip hop can come from anywhere. Like, what they gotta say about, like, you know, the dope ass German producers making filthy boom bap joints today, like Klaus Layer. You know what I mean? A figure Braz Levick. He's actually from Bosnia and he lives in Berlin, Germany. Fire, and he skates too. You know, you got cats out of Poland and Russia making fire hip hop. In the UK, they had the Wise Guys, you know what I mean? And just start the commotion and ooh la la. Yo, check out, you know, like, check out the albums. Please check out the albums. Fire. Masterclass of hip hop production right there. You know what I mean? Definitely a masterclass. Even Canadian joints, you know, you had like Socrates or Cardinal Official, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, just dope hip hop, like, you know, hip hop is universal, man. Hip hop is universal. Like, you even had cats out in Seattle area. I think like Infinite was from Seattle. That was another underground cat right there. You had Power Rule, who was, I forgot where he was from, but Power Rule. You had the Arsonist. You know, like, you had a lot of Cannibal Ox and the whole Definitive Jux clan, like with LP. He was part of Company Flow. He's part of Run the Jewels now. For people that probably don't know who he is, he's with Run the Jewels with Killer Mike. LP been around for ages, you know what I mean? One of the illest producers. They call him the what is it? Yeah, the Bomb Squad in one person. Very dope stuff. Like, check out the Cannibal Ox album, The Cold Vein, to like definitely hear his work. Also, the joint Offspring by Delta Funky Homo Sapien. It's off of the Left Side of the Brain album. That beat's crazy. You know, like that beat's stupid. I'm, you know, yeah, like, you know, like LP is another one. He's, you know, he's you know, he's not black. He's from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? And that dude keep it funky as hell. What about, like, you know, Idea from you know, the Rhyme Sayers crew? You know what I mean? Idea, Evidence, Alchemist. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, everybody has contributed. You know, you got cats like Ren Thomas in the underground. Ari the Rugged Man, he get mad love. You know, so I mean, you know, that's major, major. Breakdancing's had a major influence on hip hop because I mean, you can't just do the Cabbage Patch. You know what I mean? It gave us more of an identity. It gave hip hop more of an identity with the breakdancing. You know, it was like, yeah, this is ours right here. Like, you know, how like when you listen to metal, you got like the cats with the long hair and they're going like, you know what I mean? That's their thing. But then with breakdancing, spin on your back, you know what I mean? It's synonymous. Like it identifies with it. You can't think of one without the other. You know, like I think it's a big part because it helped expand the expression of the lifestyle and the culture. You know? Definitely, definitely. House Party, yeah, for sure. With Kid and Play, yo, that shit was mad funny too, especially with Martin Lawrence in it. Like, yeah, yeah, you know, and I tried to pull off the Kid hairstyle, but I ended up looking like Play instead. You know, I look like Kid with the Play hairstyle. Let's just put it that way. You know, like, uh, nah, I still look good. It was good. You know what I mean? Um. But you know, yeah, breaking definitely. You know, and like I mentioned earlier, Wild Style definitely. You know what I mean? You gotta lump that in there. Yeah, they're definitely because you know they helped kind of depict it and really, really help us formulate it mentally about it. You know, that's when people knew that it was a movement. You know, and one of my favorite b boys of all time, Crazy Legs, he was in it. He was in them, you know what I mean? Like, and he still b-boys to this day, which is great, you know? And he was there since the beginning. And, I mean, you know, check out those movies. You see how he got down. Like, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell he turned, like, an action figure, like, all the way back like that when he was, like, doing air flares and whatnot. Like, well, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Well, yeah, like, you know, when he was doing his thing, you know? My barber might kick my ass for not knowing that name. That was the move, but... I'll willingly take the L. But yeah, like, you know, definitely a big part of hip hop for sure. Same with graffiti. You know what I mean? With like cats like Dondi, Bigfoot, you know what I mean? Like all them. And that also became universal as well. I mean, I know in some places it means some gangs type related stuff. But, you know, other than that, other than that, the graffiti has been dope. I even did graffiti back in the day. I started, you know, drawing up tags in my little notebook when I was 14 down the dry erase board in the classroom one time, you know, when we had free time. And that's how I started doing graffiti. So, you know, I never really... What, graffiti? Because people started getting reckless with it. They started getting reckless with putting graffiti on, like, you know, court buildings and all that. It's like, yo, chill. Like, you know what I mean? If you go and do that, like, I mean, you know, the trains is a different story too. I mean, you know, if you're doing on freight trains, I mean, now they don't even care with the freight trains. I mean, if it's on a New York City train, like, I mean, you know, it did give it the allure. Definitely gave it the allure. You know, that's something, again, identifiable with hip hop graffiti is, you know. And the thing is, I understand why they kind of make it illegal because, you know, if you put something on like a very, you know, important monumental statue, like, you know, tagging that up, like, yeah, like, you know, maybe somebody who was related to that person, you know, like not even somebody like Christopher Columbus or something like that, or like some 1800s Confederate figure that, you know, supported slavery and whatnot, you know, but somebody who did great things, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody was to tag up like a Martin Luther King statue, you already know there's a problem. So, you know, something like that, or like, you know, a courthouse, or like, you know, things of that nature. So yeah, with that, yeah, like you need to have consequences for that, because that's just messed up at times, you know. But you know, now people, you know, make money off it doing murals and all that, you know, like. You go down to South Bronx, you see a mural of Big Pun. You go right 139th and Lenox in Harlem. You know what I mean? You got that mural of Big L. You know what I mean? And they keep it there, like, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, it depends on, like, it just depends on, if you're getting too reckless with it or not. Like, some things you could let it slide, like, like an underpass. Who cares about underpass and all that? As long as you ain't tagging over the directions on where to go. But, I feel like it gives it life too, as long as it's not gang related. Like, if you're doing, like, spectacular art, because, graffiti artists is spectacular artists too. They're just artists that, didn't have the means to go to art school. That's it. But they still had to unlock their talent somehow. So, yeah, that's with it, but. Definitely, yeah. Graffiti is very important to hip hop. It's also overlooked nowadays too, because people don't really do graffiti no more. They just do murals. They try to make everything all perfect and pristine and pretty. Hip hop didn't start like that. Hip hop started grimy, like like it was destruction of everything. You know what I mean? But it was building up. It was like building up from destruction. It was utilizing what you had, making something out of nothing. You know what I mean? It's like bare bones. Right, exactly. Definitely nonconformity, like, because it was its own thing, it took on its own life. It was like a new protozoa or something like that, like that's what I love about hip hop, because hip hop is so diverse, especially nowadays. You can find, like, there's a lot of ways you can finally be yourself. There's a lot of people that definitely are followers in hip hop for sure. Like, I mean, shoot, you go to my old high school and all that, man. I tell you what, you got shit on if you didn't, like, dress like everybody else, which I think, I know I said I was going to keep it PG, but it's bullshit. You know what I mean? It's definitely bullshit. Like, I mean, not everybody's parents got enough bread to get Jordans. What if you didn't like Jordans? What if you was in a different crowd and all that, and then you got, like, you might have gotten you can get some shit for, like, not having like, the new Jordans on or whatever. You won't get no significant other or whatever. You know what I mean? You won't get talked at. You know what I mean? It's stupid. And I feel like a lot of that is in hip hop now, and I'm like, yo, kill that. You know what I mean? It's like, look, if I want to wear a pair of Vans, I'm gonna wear a pair of Vans. If anybody don't like it, they can kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? I grew up skateboarding, so I had to deal with that. And as a black skateboarder too, on top of that, at a time where it wasn't popular to be a black skateboarder and all that, like, I mean, shoot. And I didn't, like, it got to a point where I didn't even like mainstream. I started to really hate mainstream hip hop, to be honest, when Soulja Boy came out. Like, I mean, Soulja Boy definitely, made it so that, we could market our stuff on YouTube. Definitely, which is, that's big now. That's really big. He oversaw that, you know what I mean? And we do got to definitely owe him his props for that. But I'm being honest, I was like 16 years old. I didn't like all my friends who played just to piss me off. Freaking assholes. But, like, yeah, like, I feel like with hip hop, if you really want to, like, be good at hip hop and all that and reap the benefits, see the fruits of your labor, be yourself. Be yourself, please. I cannot stress that enough. Be your damn self. Don't fake the funk just to get bread. I know people need to get money. That's how we live, right? Money makes the world go round. But at the same time, don't, like, ruin the culture. You know what I mean? Be you. Like, people ain't really make a big impact in this world following the pack. They straight on their own. They kept it authentic to themselves in one way or another, Like, Biggie had his own style. KRS-One, own style. Chuck D, own style. Old Dirty Bastard, his own style. Method Man, his own style. RZA, his own style. Busta Rhymes, his own style. Q-Tip and Phife Dawg, they had their own styles and they was in the same group. People Under the Stairs, that's one, and rest in peace to Double K. They had their own styles. You know what I mean? Like, Jay Dilla definitely had his own style. Pete Rock had his own style. Primo and Guru, rest in peace to Guru, own style. Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh, like, all these people, they had all their own styles. And Nas had his own style. Like, that's how these that's how these people like, they make an impact. They do themselves, you know what I'm saying? They themselves. Like, yeah, like, they do have to like follow a certain type of deal, but I mean, if you following it, at least try to advance it. You know what I mean? Advance it. Bring something different to the table. Like it's to the point now where I mean, yeah, I'm 31, but still, I can't tell some of these rappers from Adam and Eve, man. Like I really cannot. Like, and people are like, oh yeah, but they sound like this. It's like, okay, they still get on the same beats. You definitely can't tell the producers apart. That's for sure. Maybe Metro Boomin is an exception, or Zaytoven. You know what I mean? Cats like that, you can actually tell the difference with them. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to hate on them if like you like the old school stuff, but at the same time they do have differences in their style. Metro definitely, uh, you know, um
As long as we're talking about styles, I don't know if you're going to cover this next class or not, but what do you think about artists like Blueface that don't rap on beat or mumble rappers, that kind of thing? How do you think they will contribute to the history of hip hop? And will it be a negative contribution or a positive contribution?
um now the thing is it's funny you brought that up. So with with people like Blueface that don't exactly rap on beat. Now I will say this: back in like the late '90s, there were some underground rappers that would get mad lyrical on that beat, lyrical, miracle, spiritual, right? And they would also kind of be offbeat a little bit. A lot of people would say Pharoah Monch kind of was like that too, or even Talib Kweli, like older Talib Kweli. Um, but then again, like it was still cohesive back then. I mean, some of the super underground artists that did that, yeah, it did kind of sound like a hodgepodge of words, but you know, now it's just I don't know. I feel like it's just super watered down. It could be a positive and a negative effect moving forward. It could be a positive effect where somebody could probably flip it and make it more cohesive and make more sense on the track. You know what I mean? Depending on who takes on that responsibility. It's also a negative thing because then people will probably, people will see that and be like, oh, so I don't have to rap on beat no more. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to fuck this up. Like, like now I'm really going to do this on purpose. And if they're a troll, it's even worse. Then you just want to, like put a slug in their dome piece. But you know what I mean? Like, and, make it so that they don't reproduce if unless they had a kid at like 15 or something running wild in the streets. You know what I mean? Like with their sneaky links. That sounds so sus too. Like, you know what I mean? Like sneaky links. It's like, okay, like how many links are we having? Like LinkedIn, like sneaky links. Like, why is it sneaky? You know what I mean? Like, why is it got to be sneaky? Why are we like promoting things being sneaky? That's sus. That's sus being sneaky. Like, why are you doing it if you got to be sneaky about it? I mean, unless you're doing like a surprise birthday for somebody and you got, make sure you methodically get presents for your significant other, what I mean, before they catch on. That's a good sneaky, but not the bad sneaky where it's like, oh yeah, you know what, I'm just, I'm telling them I'm going to the gym, but I'm really going to meet up with a Tinder date. Why you got a Tinder account when you got somebody, man? If you open relationship, all right, do what you got to do, but just don't include other people that don't do that with it. You know what I mean? That's just wild. Like, but yeah, sneaky, sus sneaky. That scares me. I'm a skeptic. You know what I'm saying? Don't be sneaking around my crib. You know what I'm saying? Word up. Don't be sneaking like. But yeah, it would be positive too because of the negative, because then it'll show people what not to do as well too. Because I mean, if we're being real here, like how long is some of these artists going to last? You know what I mean? Now, I could tolerate Blueface. I could tolerate Blueface's music. But, like, look at Trinidad James, though. How long did that last? Not that long. Fetty Wap, that didn't last that long. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cats that people, like, just gas right the hell up. Where they at right now? You know what I mean? Stage to Gemini, But Sage the Gemini actually could rock with his shit. I'm not gonna lie. I actually like this stuff. I actually wish I could work with him so I, like get him back out there if I could help out with that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying my abilities are outstanding, but you never know. Music is weird like that. I mean, shit. Look at Post Malone. I don't know what the hell his purpose is served. I really don't. I also hear he smells bad too, but that ain't my issue. I actually forgot to put on deodorant before I got here. Yeah, I actually forgot to put on deodorant before I got here. So I don't know. I might just be as bad as him, but at least I put it on yesterday, so that's all good. I'll be all right. I don't even know why I said it on here, but besides that, speaking of funky guys, Old Dirty Bastard had no style, by the way. Old Dirty Bastard of the Wu-Tang Clan. Yup. Oh yeah. Like I feel like he was underrated. That dude was misunderstood with the style. Like I mean, just listen to Brooklyn Zoo. Either that or his verse on "Shame on a nigga who tried to run game on it." Like that one. Like I went to see Wu-Tang 10 years ago, and on stage, Method Man said that Old Dirty did his verse on that joint in one take, which is pretty crazy. And then there's this video floating around. It's him and Busta. They had a show or whatever, right? They having a cipher. Fire. Like I mean, like you got any more questions or you good? You have any questions?
Good.
Oh, come on. Anybody chirping in the
Yeah, some people watching. Nobody's asking a question. They mentioned something about Ty Dolla Sign's dad. He did music. It says that he was well known. That's how he got started.
Yep. Oh yeah, that'll definitely happen. Yeah, like what is it? Madlib, yeah, his father was a jazz artist. And because of that, he was able to kind of get more of a foot in the door because his dad had all the accolades and whatnot. The same with like Corey Guns, because his pops is Peter Guns. Funny part is Corey Guns out raps his pops. Like I feel bad for him. Nah, it's all hip hop history, man. Corey Guns is fire. And then you got Chris Rivers, who was Big Pun's son. Chris Rivers is nice on that mic. Oh my God, that dude can spit. He spits just as good as his pops. I love it. Like Grand Pooba's son raps as well too. He's nice. Yep. Oh yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Old Dirty Bastard's son, Young Dirty Bastard. He out there. You know what I mean? you know. Yeah, I didn't know that about Ty Dolla Sign. I did not know that. That's what's up. Yeah, like Thanks, Dylan. Thank you. Yeah. See, I learned something right there. That's what's up. I like that, man. I'm a nerd and I love this stuff. Yep. I'm glad he brought that up. That's what this is all about, Even though I'm teaching about some stuff, still a good transfer and flow of information. Anything else that you probably have any anecdotes about that you could probably lend as far as, what y'all know?
I've told you before, I despised rap growing up. I thought it was all trash, because I grew up through the gangster rap era where, the gun shooting cops, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up transformed when I actually forced myself to sit down and listen to Tupac.
Mm.
That's what got me back onto the rap scene. I mean, I listened to the commercial stuff back in the 80s with, Run DMC and the Fat Boys and, all the MTV rappers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stuff that was all top 40.
Right.
But after they kind of started fading off into the background, I kind of stopped listening to the whole scene. And then when the gangster rap and everything came out, like, they just totally turned me off to it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I felt I was doing myself a disservice by me being so heavily into music as I am, by not knowing what's going on in the hip hop world. So like I said, I sat down one day and listened to Tupac, and that was all I
That's really good to know right there. That just goes to show, you know, because I feel like, same situation. If you listen to probably Mob Deep or something, like if you learn about like their up north trip off of the Infamous, right? You've probably been turned off. I mean, probably been like, oh, like yeah, he's rhyming pretty good, but just the content, the subject matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look where I am now.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. I will say this too. There's a point in my early to mid teens where I didn't listen to hip hop at all. You know what I mean? Like I grew up on like pretty much everything you could think of. Like I mean, except for maybe jazz. I got into that later on my own. Facts, yeah, and cause like growing up, I was exposed to people like Boys to Men, Mariah Carey, Tribe Called Quest, Naughty by Nature, then Billy Joel, and then Jerry Rafferty and the Doobie Brothers, and then it went to Teddy Pendergrass and Marvin Gaye and Michael Jackson and Prince and the Revolution, David Bowie, all that stuff, So I had a lot of it thrown at me. Even like Mr. Big Stuff. Who do you think you are?
Black music was Don Cornelius in his show Soul Train.
Yes. Yo, one of my favorite episodes is besides, when they had the runway, right? And then, they start dancing and all that. Yo, every time I dance in my living room, I feel like I'm on Soul Train. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. But one of my favorite episodes of that was when Denise Williams performed Free on there. Denise Williams, when she did the song Free. I have that record too. I love that song. And you know what? Let's bring that into with the hip hop part, right? So there's a song called "Keep the Faith" by Lords of the Underground, and they sampled "Free" by Denise Williams. Now the cool part is though, they had Denise Williams on the record singing too. Like besides sampling it. But they also had her singing on it too, which I thought was really good. And that came out in like '94. It's a really good song, by the way, too. Very good content. Very good content. Anybody who wants to get into like '90s hip hop, check that joint out. That's a really good one. Also when Minnie Riperton did "Inside My Love." I love Minnie Riperton. That one's great. They had a lot of good acts on there too. Even like later on too, like after Don Cornelius, when they even carried it on to the 90s, they even had like a young Usher when he was like 15, 16. When he did what was that song? He was like thinking of the way to say I love you. That one from like 94, 95. He was a young kid. Way before that My Way album that my mom and I played the dog shit out of. We played the hell out of that CD. Good Lord. Peace to Ontario Street. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you're familiar with this. I have a song that I saved by Black Men United.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of that group?
It sounds familiar.
Of pop and hip hop artists.
Right.
They got together to do like a "We Are the World" type thing.
I got "We Are the World" on vinyl too.
They actually did this on an awards show.
Really?
Yeah, Queen Latifah and somebody else hosted it.
Ooh. Hey, yo.
It was back in the 2000s. I gotta find it.
I gotta mention this too. Queen Latifah was dope. She was dope. Her and Moni Love. Like also too, yeah, like they had some fire female MCs back in the day. Queen Latifah, MC Light, Roxanne Shante. One of my personal favorites, Bahamadia. She was an underground artist. She was great. I love Bahamadia. I love me some Bahamadia. I also back in the day I had a crush on Rod Digger. I definitely had a crush on her. For sure. Lauryn Hill. I gotta bring up Lauryn Hill.
Oh, definitely.
She was able to wrap circles around a lot of cats back
yeah.
then. You know, Moni Love, Ladybug Mecca of Diggable Planets. Damn, I know there's a couple other ones too. Oh man, I know there's quite a. Oh yeah, Princess Loco. Back in the day, you know, like yeah, there's quite a bit of them. There's definitely quite a bit of them. Lady of Rage, you know, with the Afro puffs. Heather B putting down the Glocks and whatnot. Now she on.
That I really liked from the 80s was Tony.
Yes, and Raphael Sadiq has done stuff with Q-Tip. You know, yeah, Raphael Sadiq, wonderful, wonderful artist. And he does stuff with like Ali Shaheed Muhammad. I think they were part of Lucy Pearl together. Yeah, Lucy Pearl. I think that's what it was called. Yeah, and they were part of the Soulquarians too, which had like D'Angelo, Questlove of the Roots. Dilla was on there. Jay Dilla. Erica Badu.
Oh yeah, that's one right there.
Yup. I think Common was a part of it too. By the way, if anybody wants to peep early 90s hip hop too, Common, when he was, it'll say Common Sense. So, you know what I mean? He didn't change it until like what, 97, 98? Yeah, Common Sense, was it, Give Me a Dollar or something? What the hell was the name of that first album? I know the second one was Resurrection. And Beat Nuts. The Beat Nuts back in the day too. When you had Cool Fashion, you had Juju, Junkyard Juju, and you had Psycho Les. I'm a big Beat Nuts fan. I'm a huge Beat Nuts fan, especially that second album, Street Level. Good God, when they had Rick's joint with that, damn, I think they cleared the sample. I was gonna say what they sampled because I love that joint, but I'm gonna chill on that. You know what I mean? But you know they were great, like production wise especially. Like their remixes was fire. Another thing about the remix too, I was talking to Ace Granby about this after the live stream yesterday, right? Because he was talking about you wanted to, you know, do some remixes to like some old '90s joints. And I told him, you know, like there's different meanings to that. Because back in the day when they do a remix, say if it was, you know, there's a couple ways they did a remix back in the day. If it was a Pete Rock remix, right? The infamous Pete Rock remixes. Like Jump Around by House of Pain, he did one, right? That's one of my favorite remixes of all time. That one is fire. And so it had like the same vocals, right? They just put a different beat to it. That was a remix. Or if they had like, you know, that same song, but they had that, it was like the same track with the same artist on there too. But then they had features on there, like Flavor in Your Ear by Craig Mack. Instead of Craig Mack starting out, it had Biggie starting out. And then, you know, you had Busta jumping in there and be like, that flavor in your ass. Like, you know, then you had LL Cool J on there, you know what I mean? And, you know, yeah, stuff like that. Like that's kind of different. Nowadays, it's more like, you know, what we would call a freestyle back in the day, where you rap over maybe, you know, like the METHOD, man, Wu-Tang beat, right? And then somebody just starts spitting to it, you know what I mean? People think that's a remix now. It was a freestyle. We called that a freestyle back in the day, you know what I mean? Like the Who Shot Your freestyle. We didn't say, oh yeah, the Who Shot Your remix. No, it's not a remix, it's a freestyle. You remixed a certain part of it. Like, it's not like with the freestyles. I don't know, this is a lot of yeah, it's a lot of haberdasheries and hemoglobins with that, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, like, I mean, also too, like now they do remixes on type beats. I don't understand that shit, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? One thing that I will say about yours truly, aka Rolladeks and all that, them type beats, man. Nah. I can't. No. Yeah, I got plenty of styles, you know what I'm saying? Like a Mad Flavors, I'm like a Baskin Robbins over here. You know?
Love the analogy.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, so, you know.
So what are we going to talk about next week?
Next, Next week, definitely continue on with the music history. You know what I mean? It was organized. Then it got a little scatterbrained because a lot of things tying together, man. A lot of things tying together. Is one thing could lead you to another thing that was before, and then back and forth. It's like ping pong with this. You know what I mean?
Not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I mean definitely a lot. I did try to make sure that there's like a little timeline in the beginning. I made sure of that because that's what's really important. That's what this class was. I definitely wanted to provide a timeline. That was my goal. And little tidbits along the way too, because then my memory just popped back up, bang, like something else comes into play, and other genres have influenced hip hop as well too. Like it's not just about drums, melody, and an annoying ass bass line and crazy hi hats and all that. You know what I mean? Like it's more than that. It's definitely more than that. And also another thing, like back in the day, a lot of people, especially that, like basically dick ride the new shit without even trying to, like appreciate the old music and shit, you know what I mean? Because they all care about dumb shit, like they got some say in that shit. They're just simple minded, you know what I mean? Broke motherfuckers. The thing is, like, back in the day, you could feel that shit more. You could feel the music more, way more. You know what I mean? Like they intended for you to feel it. If you don't feel the music and all that in some way, shape, or form and all that, forget about it. I'm not saying that it should stay boom bap or nothing. I'm just saying, like, make it better. Like, like why are we mumbling and all that? Why are we allowing artists who, like, why are we allowing artists to pull this bullshit? You know what I mean? Like when we do music, it's supposed to be about the art. You know what I mean? And now people see that shit as a cash cow and all that. It's not right. We gotta do things right with the music.
Rap means rhythm and poetry.
Exactly. Like, what? I'm gonna say that because that's a good point that Mark just made. Rap stands for rhythm and poetry. You know what I mean? Like that's what's supposed to be about. It's got to have some substance to it. Like, I don't want to talk about the ops on the block, you know what I'm saying? Like, I try to live my life to where I don't have ops. You know what I mean? I don't got beef or something. And if, somebody got beef with me, then I don't know what to tell them. Like, stay angry because I'm going to still be me, Like, be angry. Like, what I mean? If somebody's jealous, they're stupid, they need to go change their life or something like that, they got problems with their stuff. That's projection right there. If somebody jealous over that shit, it's like, why don't you ask me to help your ass out instead of being salty as a bitch, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry about my unapologetic approach, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? Like word up, I'll spread the knowledge, I'll spread the seeds and the fruits. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't stingy. You know what I mean? I'll teach people whatever I gotta know. That's why we doing this here, right? I mean, for real. Like, exactly, man. Because people be getting into this stuff and they have no sense of direction. They just like, oh, I'm just gonna put something out, and then just promote the hell out of it. Oh, when it comes up, they don't know what to do. They don't know the next necessary steps. They don't know how to follow it up and all that. Then, there's discouragement when cats don't, like, it took DMX like 13 years to get signed. Took him 13 years. He had stuff with Pudgy the, what was it? Who the hell was that cat? Yeah, that rapper Pudgy, whatever. He went by Pudgy the Fat Bastard or whatnot. He was down with Nick Wiz. You know what I mean? He was fire too. And DMX had some joints with him. And that was like 94, 95. So, like that was some shit too. Like, I mean, he still had the raspy voice. He was talking about some real pain shit. Like, not even gonna hold you. He was talking about some real pain joints. Like, I'm gonna have to send that through Messenger or something like that, or text message. Like, some real good stuff right there, It took Mobb Deep a hot minute to, get their deal once, Q-Tip basically took them in. And then look what transpired from that. Rest in peace to Prodigy. I'm a big Prodigy fan, especially when he was linking with Alchemist. Like they made great stuff. Hold You Down and all that. Yeah, so that was really good things. And I feel like a lot of the younger generation should also check out the older music. They might find something they like. They might find something they actually like. Like why stray away from it? Why? Because like somebody in your hood told you it wasn't cool. Fuck them. Don't pay attention to them. Do what you want to do. If you want to check that out, check it out. Go ahead, man. Don't worry about that. If you want to make like old school music, but you're afraid of the scrutiny and getting picked on or whatever, right? Nah, just go with that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If anything, just go to each and every one of your shows with a baseball bat, spikes on it. Anybody want to test? You know what I'm saying? Be like, yo, you act like I brought this here just for show and tell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me do my thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me represent. You got your joint, I got mine. Like, and we don't have a balance like that too much. I feel like it's coming back though. So like, right, yeah. I just feel like I just don't like it how like, like some of the stuff that, like just seems redundant is being shoved down everybody's throats. I don't like that. You know what I mean? It's like, just let it be what it is. It's already big enough where you hear it even on like sports commercials nowadays. You know what I mean? But don't shove it down people's throats. If people don't like it, people don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, you know what I mean? They ain't metalheads being like, oh, you gotta listen to my stuff. Yeah, you see this guitar riff? Oh, da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, talking about how nice their hammer-ons and pull-off techniques are. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going on that. My mom's sending me songs right now as we speak. It's funny. Yeah, but I think that will probably conclude it. I think that will conclude my lesson right there. I hope I provided some good information. And oh, thanks. Yeah, I think next class we'll just kind of like carry on with that. We'll talk about, we'll bring it into the now. We'll talk about, like Young Money, Cash Money, Lil Wayne, Drake, all of them, and like how that transpired, And that'll probably be as far as I go with the music history, which will be next class. That'll be the last one. Then we'll get into music production because I want to show y'all how I make music. Yeah, so yep. Shout out to C2C Indie Radio. Shout out to Legacy Productions. By the way, before we go, anybody else had any questions in the chat? I don't want to leave nobody out. Yeah. Yeah, that's my man right there. Yo, that's my guy. Yeah. Check out his skateboarding too. Yeah, definitely check out his skateboarding. Ski Glock on Instagram. Yeah, he's good, man. He's definitely good. So, it's my bro. I hope so. I don't know. We talk quite a bit. I feel like I'm at the bar talking about this shit. You know what I'm saying? Word up. I just got water. You know what I mean? Like, good loaded water. You must be going off that water bottle. But yeah, that will conclude it. All right. C2C Indie Radio, Legacy Productions. Your professor, Rolladeks, for the Legacy College Musical Knowledge. And we are signing off because I got